because of Gangplank, Mordekaiser, and the Elise ban. But I'm still expecting Fnatic to go for Rek'Sai as the first pick. We see exactly the same bans come in so far for both teams. Lulu would come next for Fnatic, and then Elise, if it is as in game 1.
Nothing changed yet. Let's see if Fnatic agree and they want to go for that early to mid-game team fight, where they were up against it against Origin in the Summer Split Finals. They ran Rumble and Emi for similar style. Game ended up going long, but it was that play that got them there. Instead of banning Lulu, they take out Vigar.
Maybe trying to tell KOO Tigers, you need to ban Lulu now and we get Elise first pick. But I think KOO Tigers can still just ban the Elise and first pick Fnatic first pick Rek'Sai and then get Lulu themselves.
This is super tricky because now they need to pick between the Rek'Sai or the Lulu. That's a really high valuation they put on that Veigar.
But it does tell me somewhat they want to play Azir again. And they just don't want to risk the same thing happening in the late game or control mage in the mid lane, and they don't want to risk having to match the scaling of a Veigar. So they value that above getting or banning away the Lulu. We might also see them do something completely different, and they just want to avoid what KOO can do in the late game on this champion, because they have made mistakes, Fnatic in the early game, which has allowed KOO Tigers to get to late game, which means this Veigar pick, even if shut down early on, will activate at some point during the game and become super, super powerful.
Now, Lulu has been played once by the KOO Tigers this tournament, by Kuro, and it was a loss. We need to see how they handle themselves and what Fnatic will run into it. Currently, the hover is on the TF. We know that Kalista is still up and available, but Fnatic have not played that yet. Kanan's up too.
Kanan is up too. I mean, you can do a full global comp here. You have Rek'Sai already. Twisted Fate, you don't have to pick it now, though, the way I see it for Fnatic. Because if KOO Tigers wants to try and skirmish you early on with Smep up in the top lane, you bring 2, 3, 4 teleports, and you say, hey, you're not alone now. It's not a 1v1 anymore. But
yeah. Fnatic just goes with the early Orianna pick, though, which, if you're going to pick Orianna, I like picking it in this context. However, coming into this series, the only 2 games Fnatic had lost had been Febiven on Orianna. It's not a surefire playmaker. It is more of a late game champion, and it is good in the lane at least. So Fnatic is definitely keeping their options open, if more than anything here.
It's one of these small counter picks into a Lulu in the laning phase. You will win that as the Orianna. But it is a bit what we talked about, how by banning Veigar, it seemed like Fnatic want to try and get a scaling mage in the mid lane, just not want to deal with Veigar's scaling as well. So ban him away, so they might run a composition now, a wombo combo composition against this Lulu and say, okay, you can only ulti one guy. If we get 2 or 3 with our AoE comp, the Lulu ulti will do very little. But obviously you have to then execute it perfectly.
All right, we'll see if Febiven can make that work and how well Yellowstar is going to perform on this Thresh. First time here at Worlds 2015. Thresh has somewhat fallen by the wayside as a go-to support. We did see last week KT versus KOO. And we'll see what Yellow can do with it today. Lee Sin locked in for Hojin, formerly known as Lee, and Prey going to his Ashe once more.
This is actually the jungle pick I expected, not the Zac. In most of these games, Hojin did get some good late game team fights with the Zac, but this is much more his style. It's not a good matchup against the Rek'Sai, but it's probably better than Zac as far as early game matchup.
For sure.
Because Lee Sin is a good early game champion. I really like those 2 picks from KOO. They're also forcing Fnatic into some difficult choices because the Ashe arrows can be game-changing.
Yeah, KOO Tigers is running with a lot of pick potential here. Lee Sin single out a guy, Ashe Arrow single out a guy. Alistar is fantastic at diving, again, catching out people. So KOO Tigers with a lot of pick potential on their side. So far, though, not running a whole lot of damage.
And a big change in style for Hojin. Both of his Zac games previously, the pre-6 ganks almost non-existent. Now, gonna have the option to surprise Fnatic. They will go blind pick Riven.
I want to see Lissandra soon. Someone has to play Lissandra top into like Fiora or Riven, but nobody's done it so far. Not sure Smith needs to.
I think we're gonna have to wait for Marin to play it in the finals. It's one of his most played champions in solo queue, and both these guys are Riven players, or on Smeb's case, a Fiora player.
Smeb can just go Fiora and take the same
Doesn't seem like Fiora is in Huni's champion pool here. Could end up costing them a whole bunch. Or does Smeb go and play the same pick into Huni? So Huni played into Smeb.
Let's think back to game 1, because what happened in this matchup, it was very even early, but as soon as Huni got a bit of armor picked up for that Frozen Heart as the first item, there was no trades going on anymore. He could just push out the wave all the time and look for flanks. He didn't have to worry about the Riven trying to all in him. So Smeb is going to do exactly the same. Again, it's a composition with so much pick potential coming in here. If Fnatic is mispositioned, that's an arrow in your face. Lee Sin kicks you back and smack.
And I think the Hecarim is a reliable counter pick to the Riven. It is a favorable matchup later on in the game, whereas the Fiora is still a skill matchup that Smeb won, but they're not necessarily taking risks here. Hojin on a comfortable champion, Kuro had to do the Lulu denial. These are actually much different team compositions that we did see in game one, so maybe we see a completely unique game here.
And we got to see Fnatic take the best of both worlds. Rek'Sai first pick, so you have that early game jungler. I still think this is a lot more mixed compared to what we saw before. They have a control mage who can scale in the mid lane, and you have an early game jungler, compared to before, where they were in a situation where they had to pick a Skarner because Rek'Sai and Elise were banned away. And they're like, okay, how do we get early pressure? Skarner? Nope, that's not gonna work. So now they have a bit of everything.
Okay. And we need to see how they make use of all of their different tools, because this could be the last game from a European team on European soil. Ladies and gentlemen of Brussels, let your votes be known on Twitter and with your cheers. Will Fnatic be able to pick up any games at all in this best-of-5 semi-final? Or will KOO show the Korean dominance and have our first ever all-Korean final at the World Championships? It's game 3 with Fnatic on the blue side, fighting to stay alive. And that hill has become incredibly challenging.
Fnatic has to win 3 games in a row, but with the closeness of the first 2, it is a definite possibility. What we have to keep in mind, though, is if this game starts early for the KOO Tigers in a favorable fashion, if they get first blood, if they start up a couple thousand gold, I think the entire series is over. I do not think mentally a team can come back from that type of start after the agonizing way they were defeated in the first 2 matches.
Also not running double teleport on the side of Fnatic. Fabian once again is going all in on this laning phase. Orianna does do really well into Lulu, so he's looking to once again push Kuro into his own tower and open up for Rainover to be more aggressive, invade into the enemy jungle, take one-on-ones, 2v2s in there, use that Riven as well for extra damage in the early game. So Fnatic will have tools to play around the early game, but we know what happens late game when you're down a teleport.
Well, KOO Tigers have already shown that their quarterfinal form of falling behind and then bouncing back is something they can do comfortably. Their group stage form was significantly more impressive in the early game, securing a ton of kills and punishing both Pain and CLG. Let's see if Hojin with Prey and Smeb can, again, get that strong early and maybe snuff out any hope of Fnatic pulling the reverse sweep.
Yeah, I think absolutely with Lulu and Ashe, they can still have a decent late game plan, but this is more KOO Tigers composition that'll take some risks early. This is more of the group stage style of KOO, where maybe they feel comfortable enough to make plays. Just wait for the first time Fnatic groups and see if Prey lands the Ashe arrow that starts the cascade.
Prey is probably the best Ashe player in Korea. He was one of the first guys to really bring it out again during the playoffs and so on. He's very known for having fantastic hawk shots, and then also, of course, that arrow landing at the correct target. And KOO Tigers really looking a little more, they're gonna spike more in the mid game with what they're running here in this game.
Potentially final match of the series. Ebervin and Kuro going toe-to-toe. We are going to see the head-to-head matchup up top as well. Huni and Smeb settling in. And both duos going toe. So we'll see what Huni can do. He ran the Hecarim first, but it's coming off way worse for wear. Smeb just throws Spirit of Dread and laughs in his face.
Yeah, and Hecarim also has Ignite, so he's up a combat summoner in this lane. You almost have to gank the Hecarim early, but if he's chunking the opponent laner like this, you can't do that either. Huni's hoping that he can bounce the wave off the turret here and then recall, but he's taken so much damage early, he's going to be in for a world of hurt.
Let's just remember Smeb is running Flask and 3 potions. So the fact he's winning early trades so easily is going to make it even worse for Huni, because he has no way now of sustaining himself. 3% lifesteal on a Dorn's Blade is absolutely nothing for him.
He's really trying hard, but he knows once Smeb hit level 3, he can get the E up with Ignite. It would be enough to kill Huni out of lane. That's why he's really delaying this recall. Early laning phase goes heavily to Smeb top lane.
So Smeb with a soft counter pick already in a good position. We'll see how early he can get that armor secured. Reckless and Yellow, they're pushing heavily in this bottom lane.
So this Riven pick for Huni will most likely just be because it's a comfort pick for him. I don't see Fnatic necessarily go and camp the lane, because if you look at what they've done with the rest of their comp, you have a counter pick in mid that's going to push in to tower. Look where Fibrin is on the map now. Sivir against Ashe. Sivir can fast push the wave over and over, and Ashe cannot push it back. She can out-trade the Sivir, but that's very difficult to do when you have minions around you. So Fnatic have 2 lanes pushing on the bottom side of the map that will constantly push into tower. That's what Reynov is going to use to get into the jungle near that blue buff, take that control, and always chip away in these towers here for Fnatic. Play it fairly slow, honestly. You don't have to like go for a crazy dive. Just keep pushing in waves on the bottom side. Huni just has to stay alive on the top lane.
You look at the speed in which Reignover cleared that jungle. No hesitation, full clear, and sightstone. So more what we saw in the quarterfinals, where he had an average 6 minutes sightstone. This one's 4.5 minutes sightstone.
It's one of the things the analyst desk was saying they'd like to see a little bit more from Fnatic, the sightstones. We're hoping for 2 TPs. We'll see if Reignover can make use of the vision provided. And Huni again, coming off worse for wear in that trade. Smeb just runs him down with a devastating charge and rampages.
You have to be so careful now, because you're going Sightstone first on your Rek'Sai against a jungler who's going to go Warrior Enchant. So Hojin will have some more early game power with his longsword. And if Rek'Sai takes a risky gank on top side, you know Hojin likes to sit up there and wait.
You mean like this?
Like this, that could end very quickly in 2 kills for KOO Tigers.
So weird to be having the Riven here. It's the danger of the blind pick, because now you have to play Riven into an unfavorable matchup, and that, Kobe loves to talk about it all the time. You have to gank for a Riven lane when you're on Riven's team or against Riven's team, because that's where the jungle attention is going to be going, and that actually plays into KOO right here. So Huni needs to play defensively on Riven, which almost always leads to a large CS discrepancy in Riven's, not in Riven's favor.
Yeah, the only thing we might see happen for Fnatic is if they keep Reignover on top side, maybe force Hojin to stay there so there's no jungle pressure on the 2 lanes pushing for Fnatic, and they just let Febivan and Reckless do the job on their own while you try and, bait attention on the top side. But we keep seeing these trades. Smeb is already going to get some early armor. He's going to get that Frozen Heart as his first item, and Huni doesn't really have that chance to all in.
No, not at all. 10 CS down already. Smeb's still got that Ignite and the Sustain. Huni's going to lose even more CS. So a Miracle TP play is what they're looking for. Febivan throws down the Shockwave almost as soon as he unlocks it. Just trying to bully Kuro out. Got himself a 10 CS advantage. It's something, but it's not massive just yet.
So now with Reignover being around top side, getting 2 deep wards in to try and spot Hojin in the red jungle here, which is very nice. It did mean once he maybe had a small chance to gank the bottom lane, he obviously wasn't nearby because he's been making work on the other side of the map. Frey and Gorilla are overextending at the moment. You have Lantern, you have Flash for Yellow Star. There's a lot of ways to set up this gank. And I like the fact he's now sneaking down towards this gank. He can even go over the wall with his tunnel, and then he goes the opposite side towards the mid lane.
It's pretty smart of Reignover, though. He knows he doesn't actually have the combat effectiveness with Sightstone right now, and he's successfully and safely gotten 2 wards deep within the jungle of KOO. So at the very least, he's stopping Hojin from having early jungle presence, or so he hopes. Yellow Star with a very poor face check.
Oh, he's in so much trouble. Flash and Exhaust are available. Yellowstar manages to sidestep the Sonic Wave. Teleport started, then cancelled by Kuro. So they do get at least one of those summoners at the cost of their flash and heal.
Strange play from Yellowstar. I'm 100% sure they saw Hojin in the jungle with the wards just being placed from Reignover's side.
That was one of those things, well, if I check it in here, I am going to lose. So I should check it just to make sure that's not the case.
Because even if there's nobody there, what was going to happen? He would just walk up the river.
Yes. Very foolish play there, but he keeps his exhaust at least. I like the fact that he has exhaust, specifically against Hecarim.
But these small mistakes is exactly why KOO Tigers in the last 2 games have been able to always, even when really far behind, find a way back into the game. Because Fnatic would then make that little overextension or have that one bad call they made, and that's where KOO Tigers punish you every single time in the early game.
And it goes further than just that. In the quarterfinal matchup, KOO just kept showing ways they knew how to defend. They knew how to play on the back foot, and they've done that in their own region during the course of the summer split. I mean, this is the team that is looking the most likely to advance on to the championship finals. And every single time they show up, they find new ways to impress and new ways to look good on the Rift.
Although Febivan does have that 21 CS advantage on Kuro. KOO, even with the catch, is still losing this early game by 400 gold, even with the counter pick in the top lane. So they're definite things not going well for KOO Tigers. Yet, as you say, Quickshot, they consistently find ways to win.
still like this from Reignover, how he goes up not to gank, but just to place a ward. Now he finds Hojin as well.
He's gonna look for the knockup. Huni actually flashes over the wall. Dragon's Rage will buy some time. Reignover's holding on to his flash. Huni pulled the trigger very early. Look at the river. KOO has got support. Reignover and Huni, they've gone too far. Onslaught of Shadows sends him against the wall. Smeb is looking for Huni, looking for first blood. Febiven does have Shockwave, but will not use it. Flash is available, and KOO Tigers, they secure the first kill.
Great roam by Gorilla to be there, and that's ultimately what salvaged the kill at the end. But honestly, there were so many small misplays by Fnatic in the approach of that gank. First off, Reignover didn't have to jump over the wall early because Hojin was going to walk around that bend, and then he could have followed with his tunnel. Secondly, he unburrowed early and didn't chain the CC with Huni, but with the Alistar roam up in the top lane, Fnatic at least cross-maps with the turret.
Yeah, that's what I like about the play here for Fnatic, is the fact that either it's 3 versus 3 and it's even because they forced Hojin away, or if another guy joins, being at 80 carry support or whatever, you take the bot tower. Because again, remember what Fnatic has done for the first 10 minutes. Constantly push the bot lane and the mid lane and chip away on the towers.
The idea of the play was great. Reignover preempted the Lee Sin invade. The execution of the play was extremely lackluster, and KOO out-executed once again. That's basically how KOO has been winning these games. I think strategically, Fnatic has had a lot of superior calls, but KOO has just been playing better in the moment again and again.
Let's see if Reckless can outplay Gorilla. Spell shields the headbutt, and Gorilla not going to be quick enough on that Pulverize, but gets the Summoner spell. And that means Reignover, Huni, and Reckless, or even Yellow, are flashless for the next few minutes.
Yeah, in order for Reckless now to move further in this game, he's already taking his own bot lane tower. There's no value in him just constantly pushing the bot lane really at the moment. So he really wants to push out this wave and then swap the top lane and 2v1 the Hecarim. But because he just lost the flash, it becomes so much harder for him to do. And here's a dive.
Yellow Star's in trouble. He's been caught by the Crystal Arrow, and the TP is going to bring some more play from Kuro. They get themselves a second kill, and maybe even the tower if they stick around for this next wave.
Now that was a good play by KOO. That's exactly what they want to do in that situation. They burned the early Summoner spell by Reckless. They made it even more dangerous for Yellowstar to stay under, and they abused their double teleport advantage.
Exactly. That's where, again, Fnatic can get punished for not running a teleport in the mid lane. Had Febiven had TP ready, had he had the Summoner at all, right here he would just have TP'd instant down to this bot lane tower, and this dive would never even have started. KOO Tigers are just saying, we can be 4 members against 3. We have an Alistar to dive. Easy, let's go for it, and that's a kill.
And despite being down 30 CS in the mid lane, with Kuro's kill and assist, he's even on gold with Febiven. So he's using that teleport to keep himself very, very relevant.
I think you are in a winning lane matchup without the offensive Summoner on the side of Fnatic. So when we even heard Yellowstar say, oh, let's see what happens top.
All right, let's throw everything and a sink at Smeb. He's already chunked Huni down. The flay comes out. Onslaught of Shadows.
Man.
Smeb's got one, and he's not done. He's looking for Yellowstar and Reignover. Reignover unburrows the rest of KOO. Come in from the jungle. And ladies and gentlemen, if Huni wasn't tilted already, that may be the play that does it.
Smeb is putting his stamp on this series like he did in the quarterfinals as well. 1v3, and he turns it around. He was already in a winning matchup. He already had stacked armor, yet they gank him with double physical damage and expect it to go well. That was a poor call by Fnatic, and we were wondering what would happen if they started behind in this game. How desperate would they become already being down 2-0? That was one of the worst decisions Fnatic has made all series.
Gonna cost them the top tower. Reckless was trying to shove in middle, but unable to secure the mid turret. All of a sudden, Fnatic are now 2,000 gold down, 3 kills down, an extra tower down, and the pressure continues to mount.
He had the right plan in the start. Reignover wouldn't gank, he would just get a side stone, place deep wards, make sure Riven could farm, make sure your laners were safe so they could keep pushing the waves. Play, it's slow. You even have that combat summoner in mid lane, so you're supposed to win it. Riven is ahead in farm, so again, just wait it out. Take these towers. Instead, Fnatic, after giving up 1 kill, instantly says, okay, let's go for another fight. Now suddenly we need to do something, otherwise we're gonna fall behind. And that's where KOO Tigers can punish them completely.
Oh, you got a flash sideways, Febiven. He doesn't get away from the arrow. And an easy pickup for KOO. Now they've even got uncontested time towards this middle lane.
You gotta hand it to KOO Tigers, though. They are absolutely recognizing where Fnatic is at. and they are going for the aggressive plays. Prey with Ashe does this against everybody. Beautiful arrow from right outside of Fog. Flashes backwards instead of sideways. I don't think that's a play Febiven makes in game one, but based on the circumstances of this match, he flashes straight backwards, KOO converts, gets their 4th kill.
Making it just look so easy. With the enchanted arrow from Prey, that library card continues to get stamped for Fnatic. And KOO are just now starting to strangle the life out of Fnatic. They do have wave clear in Orion and Sivir, so there is some comeback mechanics, but they cannot afford to keep falling prey to Prey as those Ashe arrows get flung out.
And again, they don't have a teleport. So KOO Tigers can say, okay, we're just gonna 1-3-1, push in every single lane. Whenever Fnatic sends someone to the bottom side to defend like they're doing now, they get
right
killed.
in a gorilla.
All of a sudden, Reckless is delivered into the hands of Kuro, but there's no damage to follow it up. KOO may have bitten off a little more than they can chew. Prey's in trouble. He gets away from the wind slash as the teleport's coming in here for Smith. He's now landed. Onslaught of Shadows is available. Hooney's on the front line. Not even needed. Smith throws the onslaught towards the tower.
Into the tower.
And Hooney's left for dead. Shockwave connects on Prey, but doesn't find a kill. Top laners are down, and Fnatic are able to at least go even after an over-aggressive play from KOO.
This was almost the best Fnatic could hope for. We saw it. Febiven was down on bottom lane to clear the wave that was pushed in by Koro, so KOO Tigers say, okay, now we have a numbers advantage. We can engage in the mid lane. We're still only 15 minutes in, though. So diving between 2 towers, so now to be a little bit more than what the KOO Tigers could do. But in the end, it's still 1-for-1.
I think KOO Tigers is trying to push the tempo a little bit with their Warrior Lee Sin, especially at this stage in the game, which is why you're seeing such an aggressive roam from Gorilla and the Lulu down already. They actually used the Lulu ultimate very early for Gorilla to overtank that turret, but then immediately have to turn on the retreat because Prey actually took turret aggro. So not a coordinated play, a rarity from KOO so far in this series. Smep teleports in defensively. And I actually like the heal from Reckless while the Onslaught of Shadows comes out to position and not get knocked backwards. I think that was very critical.
At the end, though, Smep gets pulled into tower, goes down, but we're gonna see KOO Tigers try and do this again. Look at Lulu on the bottom side of the map. Fnatic is pinging and saying, okay, this might be our chance to rush in mid tower. To force at least a teleport from Koro. That's the best you can hope for if you're Fnatic. Force the TP, then back away, but then do it again in 2 minutes time when KOO Tigers cannot put up this 1-3-1 pressure. So Fnatic want to force a teleport right now to get that summoner away, but KOO Tigers, they know it, they're ready to fight.
Oh, Gorilla's gone in and found 3. The arrow connects onto Reckless and he's dead. He gets kicked backwards. Gorilla's the one with the kill credit. We just see Hooney take the lantern to safety. Tower will give Fnatic some breathing room. But Prey again, finding the enchanted crystal arrow. Reckless had flash. Smith may a little bit out of position. Hooney and Yellowstar trying to jump him down, but Gorilla comes forward. The Shockwave finds 4. There's simply not enough ability power. Yellowstar and Rainover, like lambs to the slaughter. They throw themselves at the wall and come away wanting.
Yeah, trading a Thresh kill for an unnamed kill on the enemy side is not a good idea. Yellowstar really with a bit of a desperation play here, and I think this is another one. Fnatic desperately trying to turn this game around. Rainover's now in enemy territory without much backup.
No, he does have at least some protects and dissonances from Febiven. And that now puts Fnatic even further behind. 3,000 gold. KOO Tigers. They're showing up.
Yeah, they really are, especially in this game where they're making the Ashe plays work. This is why Ashe was banned against them so many times earlier on.
So we get once again this trade between them, but the only positive thing really for Fnatic with this fight, even though they're losing all these members and it's obviously not a great play, is now they have a bit of time, but there's only 1 teleport on the side of KOO Tigers. This is your opening if you are Fnatic to get back into this game. You need that mid tower down. You need to get a team fight around the dragon and you need to win that team fight. If that doesn't happen, KOO Tigers is going to keep doing this for another 10 minutes and they're going to keep getting more and more kills.
I'm looking at the items though, and Fnatic just isn't there. Every powerful item that they need to complete, Death Cap on Orianna, anything on Hooney, Infinity Edge on Reckless, KOO is ahead of them in every single aspect.
You just don't have a choice.
They cannot 5v5 unless they get a pick early, but KOO is the team getting the picks. Fnatic actually just needs to stall this one out and give away dragons.
The thing is, by stalling it out for Fnatic, you just put yourself in a situation where you will have to spread out on the map, wave clear in the side lane, and then 5 members from KOO Tigers will dive you in the mid or in the top lane, and they will get their kill or start setting up the Baron. So you just put yourself in a situation now where there is no good play. And that's the worst situation you could be in as a team in League of Legends, because normally you always have, okay, there's one good play, one okay play, and there's a few bad plays. Obviously, we're trying to aim for the good one. Now you're in a situation where everything is bad, 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 maybe okay at the very, very best. And you need to outplay KOO Tigers then.
And you have to give so much credit to KOO Tigers. They were coming in, heralded by many as one of the weaker Korean teams, but Hojin finds a death sentence, and as the support of Gorilla on the hunt is coming out, Huni has arrived from the back line. Dragon's Rage finds 4 Ash Arrow onto Feathervin as well. Gorilla's still running interference. Reckless has got a kill onto Hojin, and Gorilla's Unbreakable Will is quite early. So the bad, bad, bad plays have resulted in a net +1 kill. Defensive play to get rid of Smith. Huni's trampled underneath the weight of that power pony. Reckless is in trouble. The shockwave's already been pulled, and Fnatic's last chance, last ditch effort is being strangled away. KOO take 4, the cost of 2.
You can see what Fnatic is trying to do. Again, they're simply saying we have to just try and go for some insanely risky plays. Waiting is going to be almost impossible for them. At least that's what seems to be the call for Fnatic. And obviously they lose the fight.
It's the manifestation of desperation to Fisher.
It is.
Because they are down 3,000 gold, and they had a clean kill onto Hojin with no casualties, yet they persist. The way they come back in this game, if they want to come back in this game, is through several small wins, not one home run. You can't be swinging for the fences on every single pitch, or you will strike out more often than not. So KOO Tigers is taking the reliable good plays, and they're literally punishing Fnatic every time they reach too far.
I think you have to take a step back and just look at KOO. We'll do that in a moment. It's just a replay of that fight.
Yeah, Hojin makes a mistake. They do a lot of peeling here, Gorilla and Hojin, just to keep him alive for a little bit longer. And you can see how heavily out of position KOO actually are with their double teleports being down. So that's the window Fnatic has. But the map is only so big. It's going to shrink eventually, and KOO brings their soul laners back into this fight while Fnatic continues to be here. And because of the item differentials in this team fight right now, Fnatic had no chance once Smeb and Kuro arrived.
Yeah, Smeb 2 levels above Huni right now. Insanely fed on this Hecarim. Fnatic is saying again, 5 vs 4, let's try something. It's not the right call. They get punished for it. KOO Tigers, 21 minutes in, is 5,000 gold ahead. And this is the team who's been playing normally really well in the late game.
Yep.
Did make some mistakes in the last game though, where Fnatic almost managed to get back. Wasn't enough in the end though.
Yeah, this is a team who has been down this amount of gold earlier in the game and still beaten Fnatic.
And I asked the question at the beginning of the day, if Fnatic get the lead that KT had from the quarterfinal, will Fnatic close it out?
I said yes back then. I definitely expected more from Fnatic when it came to their shot calling, how to snowball the games.
But all credit to KOO for, again, punishing when the mistakes presented, playing so safe they didn't provide more opportunities for the lead to extend. This is a team that is, you can question some of their calls, but you cannot question their ability to find ways back into the game. They wiggle out of every chokehold they're put into.
Very creative teamwork. You can tell KOO Tigers, really Gorilla picked the team that he wanted to play with. A lot of old members from Najin.
The B team at the beginning of the year,
A lot of players
right?
that had been rejected by other organizations. And they are not even just one game away from the final, a couple fights away from the final.
Wow, Feathervin's already dead. Shockwave didn't even get used. Wild growth on that frontline Gorilla. Unbreakable Will reducing any damage he could take. And KOO just say, we'll have that, and brute force their way into the mid-inner turrets.
It's the same situation again for KOO Tigers. They push in at least 2 lanes, so they have one guy from Fnatic defending. This time it was Huni with no teleport, and they know, okay, he's gonna catch the wave at tier 2 tower. We walk straight through Fnatic's jungle, and we just dive them 5 members. We have so much engaged. Hecarim, Alistar, Ashe, Lee Sin, like almost all the champions can start the fight for KOO Tigers and get that one pick, and they even spike in this mid game.
Huni's in trouble. The onslaught will throw Smeb far enough to get the kill credit. Reckless is now exhausted. Yellowstar's trying to run interference. There's no box available for zoning. It's a double kill for Smeb, and Kuro gets his 3rd. Fnatic were dancing around the Baron pit, and KOO take their lives.
The mid-game power spike of Hecarim Lulu there is really no speed equivalent to that combo when you're trying to run away. So even though Reckless was far from the origin point of that battle, he ends up catching the bad end of it.
Rainova and Febevent standing against KOO. They're in the Baron Pit and
Pretty
low.
good shockwave opportunity.
The shockwave is available, but the headbutt will knock Rainova away. Shockwave gets damaged, but nothing more. And KOO Tigers have the tools they need to finish this game out, to clean sweep Fnatic.
Definitely didn't expect that coming into this series. We knew KOO Tigers were great.
This was always going to be the most contested series
It
we've
was.
seen.
We all looked at
Could have
Fnatic
gone either way.
as the Western hope, basically, for getting into the final. With Origin facing SK Telecom, nobody expected a whole lot from that match. But this one here, it's been surprising how well KOO Tigers have been able to play went behind, even went ahead outside of those 5 minutes in game 2. And we just gotta give it to them. They really deserve to be so far ahead in this game and already be up 2-0.
What a year for KOO Tigers. Not only were they... Oh, Asher also comes in. Kuro's just going to keep trying to run down Huni. But put together as someone of the B team, Reckless on the hunt. He does not want to get caught out. Smith still got that onslaught.
Fnatic just has to concede so much right now. KOO has been able to play this game, specifically the 1-4, with giant gold deficits. So with a mid-game team composition in the mid-game with a 10,000 gold lead, they are making it look easy.
And really, this game has just been all about KOO Tigers. Picks and bans, something that it feels KOO have had their finger on the button all series long, hell, all tournament long, really, for most of the games. And just showing up on the big stage.
And now we just need KOO to take this wave in the mid lane with the Baron buff. Not sure why he didn't want it before. Fnatic keep looking for that one opening where you catch a guy slightly out of position, but even getting that one kill now won't really result in anything for Fnatic. Smep, he doesn't care about Huni down here at all.
Not at all. 3-level difference. The wild growth comes up. Huni's gonna get shut down. Gorilla finds 2 with the pulverize, and despite the decent shockwave, it will not matter. Reckless is on the retreat. Febevent's got no mana, and Smip just prances into his face. Takes another inhibitor away from Fnatic. 11,000 gold lead. That's gonna grow even more as these minions funnel through. Inhibitor number 2 is going to fall. And KOO Tigers can play this one safe. Not make the same shenanigans that we saw from the previous game. 3 inhibitors down. Almost giving Fnatic an opportunity back into the game.
And I hate to say it, but how similar is this series to the one we saw yesterday? As far as the nature of the games playing out. Origin played SKT really close in game 1.
They're gonna try now, Fnatic.
Well, Rainova's arrived. Huni teleported to the tunnel and gonna try look for a kill. Gonna hold on to his ultimate in that wind slash. Hojin finds the Krugs. He even makes it out alive at the investment of TP, Void Rush, even on the hunt, I believe.
And then aside from the big mistakes that KOO made at the end of game 2, that was a more one-sided affair. And then game 3 has just been an absolute slaughter. KOO comes in with some different picks, more of their comfort, you would say, with Hojin's Lee Sin. And this game isn't even looking close.
I think KOO Tigers, what they do so well, is they make so many of these low-risk plays. They're very consistent in the way they play it out. They don't go for that all-in tower dive that completely backfire very often. Even when they had a bad play in the mid lane, it's because they were so far ahead already and they end up just trading 1-for-1. So very rarely do you see them completely mess it up. Where Fnatic, their playstyle is a lot more high risk, high reward. They will go for these aggressive plays, but against a team who's ready for it, it can backfire very easily. And that's what we have seen in this series.
Well, Death Sentence finds Smeb, but Yellow Stars just booted away. Shockwave lane available in the middle of the lane. Prey not going to step close enough. The Super's now inside the base of Fnatic. Who need to play with time and play with the Winions. That's all they need. Huni's trying to deal with him on the bottom lane.
Yep, 2 inhibitors down. This time Fnatic doesn't have an Azir who's much better at clearing multiple waves of supers, so even these 2 waves of super minions give KOO a big win to take down inhibitor 3 or the game.
Gorilla's found Reckless and Smep once more. Reckless gets feared towards his Nexus. Feberbin's on the retreat, waits for Exhaust to tag before throws down the Shockwave. Huni wants to try clean up, but the Dragon's Rage will send the team away. It is a double kill for Fnatic. They're defending, but it's very little. It's very late, and I don't think it's going to matter.
Rainover jumped a mile behind the rest of the team while they were trying to trace out. Now he's in trouble. They lose the inhibitor, but they do pick up some kills.
Might be able to get Prey.
Let's take a look.
it's Trezor.
Rainova's
Seeker.
doesn't want to be here. Smeb can
He'll
quite
get
easily
two.
pick this kill up. They're gonna go 1-for-1. This is the best friend battle, ladies and gentlemen. Rainova and Smeb throws up the flare, but it is Smeb that will have the last laugh.
As in life, your best friend
Yeah.
just runs away from you.
Smeb probably says only players who can make it to finals get to fight one. And walks away from Mooney
Oh, I like that.
and Rainover.
Well, 10,000 gold down, double super minions in every single lane. Just one more time of this last-ditch effort here from Fnatic.
Gorilla makes a pretty nice initiation. I honestly think there's a pretty big overreach by KOO Tigers, so they didn't even finish killing the inhibitor because they're splitting their damage so heavily when they make this engage.
Yeah, whenever we say they're making all these low-risk plays and so on, and they get really far ahead in the game, they go for these fights. We're like, oh, okay, they just gave up a few kills here and there. It's very interesting, though, because Fnatic right now
There he goes.
are just trying what they can to get back and rain over. Looking for more, didn't end up getting it, but like, Reckless is really far ahead in farm, Fedwin is far ahead in farm. They were winning these lanes, but KOO Tigers are winning as a team every single time. It's not individually one guy, maybe outside of Smeb, who is being an absolute monster up in his top lane. Him against Marin is gonna be such a great battle.
Now Supers are onto the Nexus turrets, and KOO are not putting themselves far enough forward to be at risk yet. Waiting for those next lines to move their way in. And the fire of Fnatic on home soil looking to be extinguished. The KOO Tigers have killed Huni. 4 members of Fnatic left to try wave clear, but the Dragon's Rage knocks him in the air. Shockwave cannot even complete, and the KOO Tigers looking to upset the hometown heroes. KOO will get themselves the ace, will get themselves the base, and will earn themselves a shot at the Summoners Cup in Berlin against SK Telecom.
And you can't help but be happy for the KOO Tigers. Especially Gorilla, who has done so much this year to make this team happen, to coax this team through the season. Finalist in the LCK in the spring, qualified on championship points, and has never really been given their fair shot as a top team. Maybe for a small amount of time in the spring, people were saying it. Now, they have the chance to definitively be the best team in the world if they can take down SKT.
Very few people look at some of these players on this lineup and really praise them, but we get to see what they can do here. Gorilla, fantastic support. Smeb in the top lane, going crazy every single game. Obviously, when there's a winner, there's a loser as well.
Crushing defeat for Fnatic.
What great play from KOO. All told, every time they're discounted or underestimated, they show up and surprise absolutely everybody.
But it's been such a weird year for the KOO Tigers. They start out in the spring